BookTube. Today I want to talk about my best reading month of the year so far, and that was all the books I read in July. In July I read a total of 8 books. Some of them were really good. One of them became an all-time favorite, while others may not have been as good. But anyway, let's get into talking about them. I started this one in very late June and then finished most of it in July, and that is Scythe by Neil Shusterman. I made a 20-minute video just ranting about it and talking about just how much I loved it and how good it was. It's great. It became an all-time favorite. What can I say? I just loved this idea of a world where they have conquered hunger, where they have conquered death, and they have enlisted these people named Scythes to control the population and to kill people. I thought that was such an interesting concept, and just the way it was explored in the world building and the society that's kind of built around this very extreme lack of death was really interesting, especially with the way Neil Shusterman kind of tackled religion and just the importance of death and how death gives us meaning. But what really made me love this book was the characters and the plot. I'm definitely more of a character reader. I've begun to notice that about myself. But when you pair great, developed, complex characters, and a lot of them, with an amazing plot that just keeps you on the edge of your seat, that's a recipe for a great book, and that was this book for me. It follows Teacher and Rowan, who both have their own perspectives of this book, and are taken under by the Scythe, a role that neither of them wants. They have to try to master, or at least learn how to kill someone artfully, and how to be able to take someone's life and think that you are doing it ethically and for the good of humankind, which is such a contradictory sentiment. But they grow so much throughout this book, and it was so interesting seeing their progression and some of the things that they do that really showed so much of their character. But there were just so many good side characters that all just felt so real. Scythe Faraday, Scythe Curie, even Scythe Xenocrates was cool. I just thought that overall, like, this book had such great characters. Oh, what was the girl's name? Oh, I'm gonna be mad. There was a girl that in this book that was really important, that now I forget her name, which is very much making me mad. But yeah, and then the plot just kept me on the edge of my seat. I needed to know what was gonna happen next, again and again and again. And yeah, I just really loved this book, and I'm so happy that I finally read it. I've wanted to read it for such a long time, and I cannot wait to read The Thunderhead and The Toll. I'm so happy that this is a series that is already finished. I don't have to wait for the next installment, so I can just go right through it. So the next two books kind of go hand in hand, and that is Matilda and Charlotte's Web. And I read both of those for a vlog where I read celebrities' favorite childhood books, and that was a blast to make. I highly recommend watching it, and I really enjoyed both of them. I wish I'd read them when I was a kid, and I really definitely saw the lessons that they were able to offer, and just how fun and they were just fun, interesting stories, and I just had a good time reading them, and I could definitely see what a child could glean from them and what they could learn from reading stuff like that, and I enjoyed both of them. Next, I read Envelope Poems by Emily Dickinson, and boy, did I love this. It's basically just a collection of Emily Dickinson poems, but it's made more special by the fact that you have the poems as they were originally written on envelopes, and then next to that is a transcript. And it's so cool seeing your thought process for some of the poems as they were originally written, to see her kind of cross things out, and it's just really cool. And yeah, Emily Dickinson is great. She's one of the best writers the English language has had to offer, so it was really cool to see her work rendered in this way. Okay, next I read Skyward by Brandon Sanderson. I've always wanted to read a Brandon Sanderson book, and I finally did, and I enjoyed it. This is basically about the human race, but in the very, very, very far future, where we're on a different planet and we're fighting with the aliens for the survival of the human race. They're attacking from space, and we've enlisted these pilots who are our heroes and are protecting us from these aliens, or otherwise we would all be dead, and we're all hiding under underground in caverns, and you get it. And we follow our main character Spencer, whose father was a pilot in one of the most important battles with the aliens of the human race, and in it he was a coward. It's been remembered, no one will forget about it. He was a coward and he ran away, and now Spencer knows that it will be very hard to make people forget what her father did, and it will be that much harder for her to be able to pass the test, even if she's the best pilot there, or to get into pilot school, because people will not forget about her father being cowardly. When she accidentally finds something in a long lost cave, it changes everything. And we follow that story as she goes to pilot school and she experiments and works on this thing that she finds in the caves, and it's just so much fun. Brandon Sanderson put so much thought into developing this science fiction world, from the pilots and the planes, their battle with the aliens, and the lore there. Especially, I loved Spencer's talks with her grandmother, and just to see just the history of this human race. He definitely put a lot of work and time into it, but you could definitely see that when it's more realized with all the plot twists that happen at the end of the book. And that's another thing that I loved with Spencer being a great character that grew so much through this book and dealt with so much trauma. We also got like a thrilling plot with so many plot twists that I never saw coming and that were just so thrilling. And yeah, I thought this book was great and I loved it. Next, I read Radio Silence by Alice Oseman, and you might have already seen the vlog where I read this, or maybe you haven't, but it is coming or has already come, and that was a blast to make. It was a collab video, just a lot of fun. But I finally read Radio Silence and I loved it so much. This month was just a great reading month for me. I read some books that I really enjoyed. And you probably know the summary of this. Everyone knows the summary of Radio Silence, but it's about Francis, who just loves his podcast, Universe City. And then there's Alid, who is the creator of Universe City, but Francis doesn't know it. And they're also like neighbors, and they have a lot of history because Francis was really good friends with Alid's sister, Karis, who ran away mysteriously one night. And yeah, we followed that as Alid, as Universe City, reaches out to Francis asking if she wants to be an artist, if she wants to help him and collab with his podcast. She says yes, and then very quickly Francis learns who Universe City is, and yeah, it was just so great. And the characters were all so fully realized, from Daniel to Alid to Francis, the mom, both of the moms, even Rain. Like, she was such a great character that I did not see coming of how important she would be to the story. This book, it definitely was slow in the beginning, and I wasn't really loving it, but it definitely picked up a lot of pace in the final 200 or so pages. There's so many plot twists, and I do feel like it relied on a lot of like gimmicks to get the plot going, a lot of coincidence, but I could overlook that because of just how fun the story was and how much the characters learned through the book and how much I got to know the characters and how complex they were. The characters really did it for me. Like, if I didn't care about the characters in this book, I would not have liked it, but I really did see a lot of complexity in them, and they felt so real to me, probably because I know this book hits pretty close to home for Alice Oseman, the author. So yeah, I really loved this. Okay, so this is the worst book that I read in this month, and that is Adultolescence by Gabby Hanna. It's a collection of poems by famous YouTuber Gabby Hanna, and it was not at all good. I'm going to post a review on it. That was a lot of fun to make, actually, but the poems were just not good. There were 5 or 6 or so that I really enjoyed, but overall, like, they just were so surface level, and some of them were just so plain stupid. Yeah, let's move on. I mean, when you literally admit at the end of the book that you read or wrote, the poems because you were on deadline, they're not gonna be good. The poems are not gonna be good. And then lastly, this month, I read Fahrenheit 451. Fahrenheit 451. That's what you're gonna go with? Slaughterhouse-Five. My God. This is a book that I read so close to the end of the month. I think I finished it like the last day of the month. And this is a book I'm reading for school, but it's also a book I've wanted to read. It's a classic, and it's just a really interesting book that talks about time, and it handles time in such interesting ways with time travel, and just a really interesting way to tell the narrative that could definitely be jarring at times, but definitely lends itself to the story and the message that Vonnegut is trying to go for. A book that like borders on the line between reality and fiction, and like talks about the fragility of stories and how we tell them, but that's also at its core an anti-war novel, and really goes into that and what Vonnegut saw when he went to war himself. And yeah, I just thought this book was so interesting and that anyone who is a human should read. But yeah, guys, those were the 8 books that I read in the month of July. Hopefully August is a good reading month for me as well, but I don't think it is going to be because I have some schoolwork that I have to do, which I'm not excited about, but you know, we have to do it. But if you enjoyed this video, leave a like, comment down below, subscribe, try to spend some vacation on, and I'll see you next time with another video. Bye.